Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. Your home for New York sports. Sal in Florida getting ready for tonight's Bills at Dolphins Thursday night football. And Sal, not to start on a low, but Levack and I have pointed out several times, the Bills historically 4-13 in primetime since 2000. What is it about primetime games where the Bills have not been able to rise to the occasion, Sal?
Well, let's be honest, guys. What games have the Bills been able to rise to the occasion over the last 15 years? They've been pretty, when you don't make the playoffs for 14 years in a row, there's not a lot of games where you rise to the occasion. Primetime happens to be a particular problem. Now, part of that, though, is that the Bills have played a lot of those games on the road. There's been very few home primetime games since their last playoff appearance in 1999. So that's part of it. But, again, the bigger issue is that the Bills have one season above 500 in the last 14 years. So they're not winning many games on primetime or in afternoon games.
Fair point. Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle with Armen and Levack on the team.
So how do they stack up against Miami now? Of course, week 2, they beat them with EJ at the helm. Now it's Kyle Orton. It's more of a passing offense. What is your outlook for this game?
Yeah, I think it's a good. I think it's a good matchup for the Bills. For whatever reason, and nobody's quite sure why. And some of the guys down in Miami have talked about it, that the Bills are actually a tougher matchup for the Dolphins than the Patriots are. And that, if you look at the record, it kind of shows. Miami has beaten New England a few times. They've lost 4 of the last 5 to the Dolphins, or to the Bills. And it's really a tough one to call as to why it is. If I had to guess, I would just say that Buffalo's defense has been pretty strong, particularly the last year and a half under Mike Patton and then Jim Schwartz. And Miami's offense has struggled. Ryan Tannehill, to me, he was a reach as a first-round pick in 2012. He's just now starting to play a little bit better. He's played pretty well the last 5 or 6 weeks. But the last time the Bills saw Tannehill, they dominated him, and they've beaten him, like I said, 4 to 5 times he's played against the Bills.
Previewing tonight's Thursday night football game, Bills at Dolphins with Armen and Levack on the team. Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. And Sal, you mentioned the Dolphins' struggles and something we've talked about today. So much talk about the Bills and how their backs are against the wall, so to speak, and there's a lot of pressure with the new owners coming in. Everybody is being evaluated. What about the Dolphins? It seems like those guys have been talking about this week how their backs are against the wall and they have a lot to play for.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, Stephen Ross is, he gave Joe Philbin the job a few years ago. He hasn't done much with it. They've struggled just as much as the Bills have. And down here in Miami, these people want a winner too. It's a bigger market, obviously, a little more pressure. They're more of a national team, obviously, than the Bills are. So there is pressure to win down here. And I think for the Dolphins, they're 5-4, as Buffalo is. The loser of this game, guys, it's pretty much over. I mean, they're not going to recover from this loss. I certainly know Buffalo can't. It'll be Buffalo's 5th loss in the conference if they lose the game. Miami, I can't recall offhand what their conference record is, but when you have 5 losses after 10 weeks in the AFC this year, you're pretty much cooked for the rest of the season.
Now, we talk about, why they match up better against Miami. One of those, of course, being this stud defensive line for the Buffalo Bills. Marcel Darius, what a great gamble from the coach this year, Doug Marrone.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if it was a gamble. I mean, obviously Darius had his problems in the offseason, but, it's not like Darius was a special teams player. There was no way they were going to cut him despite his off-the-field transgressions. Now, the good news is this year he really seems to have grown up a little bit. I think he's learned from his mistakes from the offseason. He's really focused on the field, and he's been dominant. Now, this is the guy that the Bills thought they were getting when they picked him number 3 overall in 2011. Dominant presence in the middle of the line who could not only push the pocket, but also play well against the run. So, he had a great year last year. The stupidity of the offseason made people worried, but he looks like he's back focused and ready to be a dominant player for years to come.
Yeah, I guess by gamble, I just meant that he was completely supportive of him the whole time and never once went like, you know what, I'm gonna yoke this kid's chain.
Right, yeah, and exactly. And like I said, because he was the 3rd overall pick, I think you have to have a little more patience, with players of that caliber. So that's what I think what it was. I'll tell you what, though, if he had one more screw-up maybe during the season, then I would consider, or I would wonder whether the Bills would think about, offering him a long-term extension maybe after this year.
Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. He's in Florida getting ready for tonight's Thursday night game, Bills at Dolphins. And Sal, the defensive line of the Bills, like Jeff was alluding to, is so dang good. What makes these guys overall, with Darius in the mix, so dominant? And how important are they tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really talented group. Let's face it, they brought in Mario Williams, paid him the richest contract ever given a defensive player. And, nobody could possibly live up to that contract. But he's been pretty good, I have to say, and especially this year. I mean, he had a great year last year. He's been very, very good this year, too. Kyle Williams and Darius in the middle of that line, they just create so many problems because they're so quick off the ball that, they defend the run well. But, to get a great pass rush, a truly great pass rush, you can have a guy on the outside like Mario Williams, but if he's not getting help from the inside guys, pushing the pocket and enabling the quarterback to have to stand there and not get outside the pocket, and then those edge rushers can come in, that's a huge factor. And then on the other side is Jerry Hughes, who, the Bills got in a trade last year for basically nobody, and he's turned out to be a terrific player. He's going to cash in big when the season's over. So, yeah, they're very good against the run, and they're outstanding against the pass. So it's a pretty good front four.
Sal, they're going up against a defense that's got 7 interceptions in the last 4 games, 2 of those brought back to the house for touchdowns. How does this wide receiver core for Buffalo match up against Miami's secondary?
Well, it's all going to depend on Sammy Watkins. I mean, he's got the groin injury. He was clearly hampered last week, wasn't the same player, didn't have the explosion in his legs, and it actually was costly to the Bills because they threw on that last possession, the 4 straight incompletions. They threw 2 of them to Sammy, and he just couldn't make the play. So and I would imagine with just 3 days of rest, he's not going to be much better tonight, I don't think. So that's going to be an issue. If he can't be, the guy the Dolphins have to worry about, someone's got to step up, and that's Robert Woods, or Mike Williams might finally be active tonight because Marquise Goodwin got hurt last week. So someone's got to step up. And right now, if I look at that matchup, with Sammy banged up, I would say the Dolphins have an edge because their secondary has been they've been great. Grimes is having a great year. Grimes will probably go to the Pro Bowl the way he's playing.
Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat in Chronicle. Now, you mentioned Mike Williams tonight. What about Fred Jackson, his availability, how well he's going to be able to play?
Yeah, Fred's another one with a groin injury. His was a little more serious than Sammy Watkins. He actually missed the game, and then they had their bye week, and he played last week. Very limited role last week. Now, that might have been because they were saving him for the Miami game because they had to play again 3 days later. I thought it was foolish to play Fred last week. They should have rested him, given him the extra time, and have him go tonight. But I don't know. I mean, his availability 3 days after a game, even though he didn't play much, it's still going to be a question mark. So, yeah, that'll be something to watch for, especially early in the game, how much time he gets out there.
A lot has been made about the ineffectiveness of the Bills in the red zone. A lot has been made by Mike Williams about Mike Williams' ability to catch touchdowns in the red zone. Is this possible? Could this be the matchup, the lineup that fixes the Bills' red zone woes?
Well, the Mike Williams situation has been a puzzling one all year. I mean, like you said, he was brought here. Everyone said he's a red zone terror. He's got, he had 20-some touchdown catches in 4 years at Tampa. And he was supposed to be, Stevie Johnson was traded away, and Mike Williams was kind of the replacement. Sammy Watkins was brought in as the number 1 go-to star. Mike Williams plays more like Stevie Johnson does. Stevie was a pretty good red zone target, too. And for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked. We don't get to watch practice, so we don't know what happens. But, Doug Marrone has said that right now Mike Williams isn't one of their better receivers. He likes Chris Hogan better. He likes Marquise Goodwin better. So Williams has been inactive because he doesn't play special teams. He's completely useless in that role. So someone's got to sit, and it's been him. And he hasn't done enough in practice or in the games when he's had a chance to get on the field right now. Again, this week, Marquise Goodwin is probably going to be inactive. He had a rib injury, so I would expect him to be down, and I would think Mike Williams will get his chance. But, even then, guys, he's still the 4th receiver. If he plays tonight, he'll still be the 4th receiver.
Now, Sal, with his history, Mike Williams' off-the-field history, Levack and I have not been giving him the benefit of the doubt. We have just been bringing it up and just including it with him, saying, now just remember his past. He could be a pain right now as well. We have no idea what's going on off the field behind closed doors. Is that unfair of us to do that? Have you heard any rumblings in that direction?
No, it's not unfair to think it because he does have a past, but we've heard nothing. We've heard that there's been no problem.
Okay.
I mean, Buffalo's a small town, and if things were happening, you would hear about it. And he's really been, from all I can tell and hear, he's been up on the straight and narrow. He's just not playing well. He's not playing well enough. He has not endeared himself to Marone, and he's not getting playing time because of it.
Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle in Miami for tonight's Bills at Dolphins game. And Sal, we'll be watching this game from Lynn's Uptown Tavern. But really all we got left for you is, can the Bills get it done? What are the keys for the game tonight?
Well, the keys to the game, I think, are, we already mentioned it, Buffalo's passing game against the Dolphins secondary. I think Buffalo will run the ball fairly well. They've kind of been coming on the last couple of weeks after they went through about a month or 5 games of just not running it good at all. I think Bryce Brown, Anthony Dixon, and whatever they can get from Fred, I think they'll be able to move it a little bit on the ground, but it's going to come down to can they make plays in the passing game. Kyle Orton's coming off his worst game as a Bill. I mean, he just wasn't sharp last week. It was the first time in his 5 games where you could kind of pin it on Orton and say that was one of the key reasons why they lost. He's got to bounce back, and it's a tough challenge because Miami's very good. Number 2 against the pass, I think. They've got a pretty good pass rush with Cameron Wake. And like we talked about, their secondary is very solid. Although Cortland Finnegan is not playing tonight, so that could be an advantage for the Bills. But I think the key is going to be right there. How the Bills' passing game, can they make plays against Miami's pass defense?
So what do you think? Bills win?
Well, I picked the Dolphins in the paper. I just don't like the Thursday night. I don't like the Thursday night road game, especially for a team like Buffalo that just hasn't proven that they can do that. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I picked the Dolphins by 3, so we'll see how it plays out.
Amen. Hey, we have to pick the Jets every week, so the amount of times that we use the words, man, I hope I'm wrong, that's been coming out of our mouth very often. Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. You can read his fine work, democratandchronicle.com. He's on Twitter, at Sal Maiorana. Sal, as always, man, thanks for spending the time with us today in Fort Lauderdale, and enjoy that game tonight, sir.
All right, guys. You guys have fun, too.